Hi, greetings. It's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and today I want to talk about something very, very important as it relates to leadership. It's considering teams and how to lead teams. And the fact of the matter is that every organization needs teams to do things better. And if a leader understands what his or her job really is to help align people to make the best decisions possible, they would use teams in order to know what they don't know. And that really is the bottom line with teams, is we get a lot more done when a leader does his or her job well at knowing what to look for and with people, and know what to do in order to accomplish organizational goals. We need other people to make us better at what we do. And having an open mind as a team leader and understanding what your job is as a leader to align people, identifying goals, and then using the unique talents and insights of your team members to create the best product possible. That's actually called synergizing. And so we really should take a look at what the most effective leaders do and know about team leadership. In some shape or form, no matter what your position is, you are a member of a team. And knowing what's expected of you and being able to change at the right time and have the right resources really is important for each of us in order to be effective in whatever job there is. You've probably heard me talk about adding constant value. Great leaders know that they can't be leaders unless they have loyal followers. And you earn trust by giving trust. And in order to have highly effective teams, and that should be the goal of every leader, is to be as efficient and effective as possible, you need to make sure that you know what you don't know and have people that are loyal to you giving their very best and helping you solve the problems that will naturally always emerge. And so that means that you've got the right systems in place, and that you're evaluating systems, and you're meeting with people on a regular basis to make sure that you're maintaining that bond of trust. So goals are always moving, and team members always have their own roles that they play, and so having regular check-ins is such an important part of being a cohesive team, and having the right systems to facilitate communication and ideas in order to keep people moving forward. And having high-performance teams means that people aren't working in silos, but people are working together to help support each other in being efficient and effective. So, giving you a lot there, but all of these lectures, they all kind of connect together. I mean, we're talking about team leadership right now because ultimately great leaders recognize that in every size of organizations you've got people who are working in teams. And it should mean that they're not hoarding information or resources, but people are being willing to continue to grow with the organization, grow their own skills and abilities, and you as a leader are giving the right resources to people so that they can be effective team members. So, a lot to consider. Things aren't always going to be perfect all the time. But it's the mental models of leaders that really matters most. Remember, we all have the power to influence other people's way of being. And that self-efficacy of other people is directly influenced by the type of leadership that you give. And self-efficacy is really all about helping people understand that they can be who they want to be and achieve what they want to achieve. And so great leaders really are able to diagnose problems and take the appropriate action to fix those team problems. And that really takes the right mental model. Do you as a leader really understand the dynamics of a team? And do you have the ability to be able to diagnose problems and be able to take the right corrective actions the right way? Finding someone who appears to be a problem and then beating that person up probably is not going to be setting a good tone that's going to help create a culture where people want to give their very best. So as a leader, you really have to have a very clear idea of how what you do affects other people, and that's about mental models. So great leaders really are the people who are making leadership decisions, and that's both on tasks and relationships. And it also involves taking a look at the internal and external relationships that are involved, and then essentially being able to monitor and take the right actions at the right time with the right people the right way. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So great leaders are all about making decisions. And in democratic organizations, they're involving people to help them know what they don't know so that they can make the right actions. It's about taking a look at teams. And so teams are internal. And so the things that leaders must look at internally is the goal, focusing attentions on that goal. Do you have the right people who are focused on the right goal? Are people clear on how what they do affects the organization as a whole? Another task is really looking at structure. Do we have the right systems in place and the right people in place to make sure that those tasks are accomplished? And then facilitating decisions. Leaders need to make sure that they're giving the right amount of power and resources to people so that they can react. And the leader isn't making all the decisions on his or her own time. They've got the right people in place that's facilitating those decisions. When people aren't doing what they need to be doing, it could be because there's a lack of training there. And so instead of beating someone up and saying, you didn't do this, you're an idiot, it's remembering that you've hired the most talented people, or your organization has hired the most talented people, and it's your job to make sure that they've got the right training all the time so that they are being effective. And when they're not being effective, that's a good indicator that they need to make time to help get people the right training so that they can continue being effective. And then it's about maintaining those standards. Having very clear standards helps people know what to achieve. And so having the right benchmarks in place and making sure that you've got the right resources in place and then the right support really matters. And so leaders need to be considering their internal leadership task decisions. Relationships are also very important, as I've talked about in other videos. Having those interpersonal skills to be able to build trust and maintain trust is absolutely important. And this is why at every level of leadership, having people who can create meaningful, trusting relationships is so important, because leaders must be coaching all the time and doing it in a supportive way so that they understand what the problems are and help lead people to being effective in whatever their job responsibilities are. And then collaborating at the right time. Leaders can't know everything about every department. And so bringing those people in and being able to set high goals, that help achieve organizational results, that you're collaborating in a way where people feel genuinely valued. Managing conflict. When people see things differently, potentially there will be conflict. And conflict can be and is healthy when leaders are managing that conflict in a healthy way that produces results. Not pitting people against each other, but helping people really see and understand what those differences are, and then focusing them at getting the right results. So conflict is a healthy thing, and it will always happen. If it's not happening, it could be a sign of some organizational problems. Maybe the leader is a micromanager, or people are scared to go outside of the box and see things differently or share their ideas because they're fearful. So a lack of conflict is a sign of an unhealthy environment too. So managing conflict in a healthy, respectful way helps bring new ideas to the environment and helps fix systems that may be broken. So building commitment is another relational job of a good team leader. And then satisfying needs of followers is really important. And the best leaders should constantly recognize that he or she is always modeling expectations, or they should be modeling expectations. So they need to walk the walk and talk the talk. In doing so, it helps lead a team to success in accomplishing organizational goals. Likewise, leaders also need to consider external factors. Great leaders are always developing networks. They're doing advocating for their organization. They're negotiating support. They're often a buffer between and among organizations, and they're making themselves accessible, and they do this by having clear office hours or being available, and they're always doing things to share information about what their organization does. And so organizations very often are building success through their networking process by maintaining relationships with their customers and their partners throughout the communities that they're serving. So that's a cool model to be thinking about, internal and external factors where teams exist. Great teams really enable conditions for group effectiveness. And it's the leader that recognizes that people must feel like they have a purpose, and they recognize how what they do affects the organization's success. And that's why people are hired. And it could be someone, I hate to use a janitor, but it's true, sometimes janitors don't see how what they do makes a big difference. And it doesn't, and people, no matter what title they are, they must truly feel like they have a purpose in the organization, and without them, that the organization is a little bit weaker. Great leaders have the right people with the right skill sets in there, and that's making sure that people are clear about their job descriptions, what they are to do and what they're not to do, what's expected of them. And having a real team is not just having a group of people who interact with each other. It is really about people who recognize that their actions have effects on other people's, and they want to have people's backs, and so they're willing to help out when they need to help. And so having that clear purpose, recognizing how what they do has an effect on other people really matters. So that's the real team. And so you develop more effective teams by being very clear on what norms of conduct are, and you create a supportive organizational context where people feel like they're supportive and they have the right resources, and they know who is out there in their organization to help them do what they do best. So some characteristics of effective teams and excellent teams is they have clear goals that consistently are being met, and people are feeling good about meeting those, and they want to meet those goals, which means people are always being results driven. They're taking a look at what they're doing, and they're constantly doing things to get and maintain results. They have competent team members, and when people aren't being competent and not accomplishing things, that great team leaders help bring people up to be able to be more effective. And team members need to be unified and committed to accomplishing goals, and that means that they have to have a collaborative climate. And so that really entails being trusting and giving trust and helping be able to facilitate people's unique skills, knowledge, and abilities and talents, and to be creative and allow for people to create. And so you got to create a collaborative environment that is supportive. And we also have to recognize how important standards of excellence are. So that means being very clear on what excellent looks like. When people aren't meeting it, you're bringing people up to those standards in a way that maintains people's self-esteem and helps people want to continue doing it. And we do this a lot by making sure that we're bringing in the right support and we're recognizing people all the time. And that means we need to be principle-centered leaders. And principles, as Stephen Covey tells us, are things that always work. Being honest at all time, admitting mistakes and apologizing sincerely. Being faithful to people is important, and not talking badly about other people behind their back. These are principles, things that you do all the time, that if you're consistent on them, they get you amazing results. So with teams, in order to be effective, you have to have those clear goals. People want to do things. They feel motivated to do it because they recognize that they're important and worthwhile. People need to be results driven, and so that means we have to be clear on our roles within the organization. We have to be able to communicate effectively, so we have to have good communication standards. We have to be able to assess individual performance in an effective way. I mean, too often people are beaten up in their performance reviews, when this really is an opportunity to be objective, to hear what people are doing well, praise the things that they're doing, connect results with organizational goals, and really continue to develop people to give their very best and be their very best. And so that really means that core competencies like being able to solve problems well and to be able to do their job well really matters. Team members, you must have the right amount of team members on a team. Having the right information, the right training, the right skills, and the right, including interpersonal skills and team ability, really matter. If you have problems with people not doing what they need to do, there's a great sign that you don't throw them away. You help coach them. You help get them the training that they need. Team members need to be open. They need to be supportive. They need to be action-oriented, and they need to be positive with their personalities. So you don't want to have a negative person on a team, but the right thing to do is help people understand how what they're doing may be negatively affecting a team member, and then bringing them over because they want to change and they want to be positive. Sometimes people, we all have lives, and sometimes people's lives affect the way they see the world. So leaders have the biggest influence over effectiveness of team members. And so building a collaborative climate really matters. You want to get people to have that team spirit and feel like they're united in accomplishing organizational goals, and you have to have the right climate in place. So people need to always be trustworthy, and you got to give trust to get trust. You have to be honest. You have to be consistent in your practices, and you want to build mutual respect. Just because you see things differently with other people, it doesn't mean that you have to beat people up. Really listen to people, talk with people as equals really matters, and that's respect is. We all deserve to be respected. We're all humans on this earth, no matter what our title is. We do have contributions that can and does make a difference. And then, of course, as leaders, we need to be making communication safe. We need to be rewarding people for meeting high standards, and we need to demand people to be collaborative and meet those high standards, and involve people in the problem-solving efforts in a way that really does help each person feel like their contributions are being genuinely and authentically considered in order to solve problems, and celebrating those successes. So being an effective team leader really does require people to be thinking about what his or her job is, what the goals of the organization are. Think about the people that you have in place, making sure they have the right skills, and making sure that standards are very clear and that they're getting the results. So how things are accomplished means having clear expectations. Reviewing results is something that needs to be done. Are you giving people the feedback that they need, and are you resolving issues at the right time, the right place, with the right people, the right way? And I think one of the most important things to do is rewarding results. Acknowledging superior performance helps get more superior performance. And you can't forget about the external support and systems that are in place too. So that really means having the right mental model, understanding the team dynamics, understanding, how to address problems the right way, keeping people motivated, helping people understand, how what they do impacts other people, and you're making sure that you're adapting at the right time to environmental factors. So yeah, teams are very, very important. Leaders can't be all things to all people, but they need to be active in their leadership process. They need to be focusing on the task, helping people get things done, make the right decisions, be involved in the problem-solving process, adapting change the right way, making plans and achieving goals. And that really entails making sure that as leaders we're developing a positive climate. We're solving interpersonal problems the right way, in a respectful way. We're really helping satisfy members' needs, not making them have one foot out the door with the way that you treat them, by really helping people recognize that their natural skills, abilities, and talents are really truly contributing to the organization, and giving them a plan of action to help them to continue to develop. And speaking of develop, making sure that teams have that cohesion that's needed. So I've given you a lot to consider. Really recognizing how we see things affects results. So having the right mental model as a leader, valuing people, putting the right people in the right places, addressing challenges within the organization the right way, giving people the respect that they need, and having people understand their roles, all are important. So the team leadership approach really is useful in helping make the best decisions possible for your teams to get the best organizational result. And it's also important for being able to diagnose problems in teams and then make the proper adjustments in order to keep every team member happy and producing and wanting to give his or her best. That's team leadership in a nutshell. Thank you so much for your valuable time. I truly appreciate it. I hope that you have a great day, because only you get to choose how you feel about it. I'm Dr. Paul